investments and what that truly means for the country. This morning, I'm joined by Dr. Tash Rengabo as we get into the conversations. Doctor, speaking about political grudges, but I think we've not entirely exhausted what it means for the young people who look at politics right now as a very viable business idea.
Yes.
And what the implications are for the young people, for our workforce as a country, but also what are the false realities within this spectrum?
Unfortunately, the political class in Uganda, or in many parts of the world, has demonstrated that life is better when you're in politics. There you get money, there you get honor, you get symbolic capital, you get social capital, you get political capital.
The ideal situation is that.
Now, if you have been walking on foot like me, and the first time you are driving a nice car is when you are a chairman of a district or a member of parliament, what do you expect?
315.
Very good.
It's a good car.
Millions of money, a good car. Who does not want that? Now the youth are leaving their businesses, their projects, their entrepreneurships, and joining politics, hoping to recoup some investment from there. Unfortunately, many burn their fingers there. Unfortunately, many don't get the time to talk to those who are in there to understand exactly what it means to be an honorable in the case of a country like Uganda. I think the youth are also being deceived that if they support Rwengabo, Uganda is going to change overnight. And then they rally behind Rwengabo, they waste their time, they lose their networks, they conflict with their colleagues because we are competing with someone. Then they detach themselves from would-be business partners. I would advise youth to start and focus on building their wealth and join politics when I will join politics when I'm 85, maybe. When I no longer need a lot of things on this planet and I am ready to serve the people. Going to politics to survive socioeconomically is so dangerous, it is responsible for political corruption. It's joining politics when you are too young on the hope that you are going to change the world and you don't change it. And then you come back, you find that the business you had started and the projects you had started have collapsed, means that you cut off the employment opportunities you would have created for other people. Finally, youth should look out for information. What better can I do as a leader than being in politics? Those who are naturally politics, they are people who like honors. Politicians are people who like honors. Those who are naturally driven by the desire to become honorable and to become seen as leaders and or bosses, they can continue with their game. But the rest of us should focus on our business. Go for further studies, start your businesses, build partnerships and networks, build your capacity.
And they would probably be arguing, well, you want, we keep saying the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. Maybe they want to start now. They want to contribute to the country right now.
I don't think, I have never been a member of parliament and I've never been a minister. I don't think that if you appointed to be a minister today, I would fail. There is no school that teaches members of parliament and there is no school that teaches ministers. And I don't think that those who have been there for 20 years are better legislators than those who have gone there first time. So,
Dr. Rengabo, we're talking about the business and the investment, but you can't talk about that without talking about the private sector in this country. We also know the patronage that comes with working with politicians, with working with governments, that businesses are subjected to for survival, for sustainability, for continuity purposes. And we find that creates a certain environment, especially because in moments where you have tension and the eruption from within, those businesses rarely survive either. How do businesses and business leaders and the private sector insulate itself from moments such as these when and eventually when they happen?
In uncertain political environments, pragmatic businesses or business leaders and entrepreneurs support those that are in power. And when the government changes, they change with it. That's the pragmatic business person. He or she will not oppose the government in office, will work with it, will follow the rules of the game put up by the government, and when the government changes, they change with it. Why? Because they are not interested in the competition of the day. They are interested in the business and investment opportunities of the day. And every government, however bad, creates minimum business and investment opportunities for someone, or those they may cut off opportunities for others. So the first real advice would be for businesses to be pragmatic. Number two, I think businesses should avoid open involvement in politics. If you have crossed from the private sector into politics, cross directly so that we see that this investor has now decided to join politics, instead of having one leg here and one leg there. Now, the tendency to think that you are going to support politicians and then they give you business opportunities after elections creates problems. Number one, when they lose elections, you lose those business opportunities. But number two, if in future government changed and people wanted to investigate you, you may be found to have been associated with political patronage and political corruption because of your connection with government. Sometimes you need to avoid that. And I think, again, as I said, it's a responsibility of government to let the business be, let the private sector be. The fact that so-and-so is a brother to your opponent and a billionaire should not make you think that this brother should be destroyed because they are the ones bankrolling your opponent. Even you yourself, you are being bankrolled by someone else. I don't think many politicians manage to mobilize the monies they put in their campaigns from their own pockets and savings. They get it from friends, supporters, networks, and business sympathizers. So the tendency to witch hunt businesses that you think are associated with the opposition or with your opponents at whichever level, I think is narrow political calculation. Because one day, one time, the tide can turn against your side. Yes.
Doctor, we are going to really look at people that have cashed in. I do not know if you are aware to the fact that people cash in on political grudges. Sometimes it looks symbolic, it looks planned, sometimes it's a calculation. Is this a reality you're known to, but also is this a strategy you would advise people cashing on political grudges? What is the cost of that, and how does that then lead to things like corruption that have plunged the country? 10 trillion shillings is lost to corruption. For a country such as Uganda, that's money that could have been put to good use.
Some businesses, by their nature, survive on conflict. I want to ask you, during walk-to-work protests, how much tear gas do you think we used? How many rubber bullets did we use? How many live bullets did we fire? Now, the manufacturers of those security products must have made money. The manufacturers of body armor, of shields that police has to use, and of these vehicles, they are in business when you're on the streets. So it is in their incentive to get a few of your young people, give them waraji, get them drunk, and throw them on the streets so that you deplete the weapons and the equipment you have, and you have to go back and buy more tear gas. You need a conscious citizenry to understand that someone is benefiting from this. War is going on between America and Iran. People who manufacture weapons like Lockheed Martins must be making money. You need a conscious citizenry to say, wait a minute, we are on the streets, we are fighting with police, we are killing our own brothers and sisters in police, the police are killing their own brothers and sisters. What are we using? Someone's weapons. What are we losing? Our brethren. So, what's the net gain? Zero. Businesses which cash in on electoral violence, for example, by facilitating some gangs to go and attack businesses of people they perceive as competitors under the guise of election campaign. You look at it as if it's election violence, but when you observe carefully, you see that there are attacks against specific businesses and establishments. You can know that those are people who want to thrive on violence. Now, it is a responsibility of the state to be able to identify those people and separate them from actual election-related conflicts. I believe we have a directorate of economic monitoring in the internal security organization. That part of our intelligence agency should be looking at the behavior of the different business actors and advising them to stop destructive business conduct against one another. Because sometimes even monopolies collapse. Yes.
Doctor, I would also look at the weaponization of institutions, the weaponization of people that are really looking at the word reconciliation. We've had communities that, but also those communities that are seeking reconciliation and dialogue would also say the space within we want to approach it is not conducive enough because for reconciliation to happen, they also, like you say, there has to be accountability that is taken by all relevant stakeholders if for it will hold. But in instances where that is not seemingly looking like it's an approach they are taking, what are the available avenues, rather? What are the available options in an environment that keeps, weaponizing either institutions, weaponizing the law, creating more laws that are even more restrictive? What avenues are there for reconciliation when seemingly people do not feel they're being heard, they're not feeling like they are being included? What's the way forward?
Thank you very much. It takes political goodwill and leadership foresight. Say, I don't want my most important resources to be disrupted. And the most important resources of any country are its people. If you asked people in your district, I don't know which district you come from, and you ask those who won the LOC 5 chairpersonship or municipal mayors and the city mayors and councils, and you asked them, gentlemen, when are you calling your opponents for a cup of coffee so that you can reconcile? Many of them will have not processed it. And yet, if they did it, if they saw it as an important part of their leadership responsibility to reconcile with their opponents so that they can prepare for the next phase of political competition, if they saw electoral competition as normal competition like we have in football matches, this country would be better. I think we need serious conscientization of our political class.
That's a powerful one,
yes.
Doctor, that you say. But now my other question will be, ultimately, what is at stake for Uganda's future if post-election reconciliation is not effectively handled? It's not hard. What is at stake?
Socio-political and economic uncertainty. If we don't reconcile with ourselves, a time may reach and then we turn against each other. We call it horizontal violence. I meet you, I beat you because I associate you with a certain political group or social group. Then you meet me, you beat me because you associate me with a certain region, a certain ethnic group, a certain political group. In the process, horizontal violence is more difficult to manage than vertical violence, where you are beating the police and the police is beating you. When horizontal violence erupts, the state itself collapses because the state depends on society for its survival by extracting resources and people and information and technology to be able to establish itself and rule. But when the society is in disarray, the state collapses. That's what happened in Somalia. You can also have vertical violence. People going and attacking the police, the military, the intelligence services, the bureaucracy, burning public vehicles, but you are destroying your own resources. Because the state is a construction of the society. Every police officer, every military man, every intelligence officer is being paid by taxpayers' money. Actually, for them, they don't pay taxes. They don't pay as you earn. You pay as you earn, then they pay them. They buy them uniform, they buy them guns, they buy them bullets and other equipment. Their job is to protect you and your business and your profession like we are here. But when you turn against them, who is going to protect you? Now they go on the offensive, they start beating you. But it's like you beating your mother. So we want to avoid horizontal and vertical violence. But two, you don't want excessive capital flight. People running out of the economy with their money.
Yes.
Or you blocking foreign direct investment from coming in any further because people fear that this is not a safe environment to invest. Mark you, foreign direct investment most times has a long maturity span. People are investing money and are waiting for 10 years start reviewing their investments. And when they observe that the political environment is uncertain, they will hold their money. Most of them will hold their money because you are not going to spend $100 million, build a hotel, and you lose the hotel in the next phase of violence. So what happens is that we risk losing domestic investment, we risk losing foreign direct investment, but even remittances will not come. If you were working in some outside country and there's violence at home, will you send your money back home to build a home?
Absolutely, absolutely not.
And all these are the problems and consequences we need to cushion against to avoid this country missing the opportunity to grow according to the tenfold growth strategy that I have seen government pushing.
Doctor, while people are looking at, reconciliation and all these words, there is another seemingly interesting theory, which is tokenism. Instead of attacking the real issue or addressing the underlying challenges, you pick a few that are making the most noise, accord them some form of, appointment and, cover that. And we seem to be doing rather more of that than addressing institutional underlying issues, policy level, all these kinds of things. So the conversation is, does that also in the long run affect what we will have, for example, for our businesses, for our investments, and for the future of this country?
There would be resources the state should invest in infrastructure development, social services, human capital development, are spent on a bloated public administration. You don't need the number of ministers that Uganda has, but you have to have them because you have to compensate for different social forces that want political representation. You don't need the size of parliament that Uganda has. I don't know whether they are fitting in our parliamentary buildings. And the costs of maintaining such a parliament that we have. You don't need the number of districts and therefore councillors and sub-counties and councillors and all that, and the money we spend on them, just because you want all these noisy politicians to have where to be. You need functional public administration. You can have 20 ministers, and they could be enough for a country. You can have 50 MPs for a whole country like Uganda. They can be enough to represent us. You can have 50 districts in Uganda, and you say every district should send a man and a woman. The rest, and you build this country. You refocus the rest of the cost on public administration and other patronage expansions into real public investment, and you transform the economy. By the way, we are talking of a tenfold growth strategy. From $50 billion in 2023 to $500 billion in 2040. For you to get that, you have to double the $50 billion economy, and then double the $100 billion economy, and double the $200 billion economy, all of that in 17 years. You are not going to do this when we are poking against each other. You are not going to achieve that when we are spending more on a bloated public administration than on infrastructure development, human capital development, inventions, innovations, and supporting our private sector.
Wow, that's a very interesting one. Lastly, how do we rebuild the trust that these institutions have already lost?
Institutions never build absolute trust under normal human circumstances because human beings are difficult to bring into the same single box of thinking ideologically. But the foundational basics of institutional trust is performance. Institutions have to come out and be seen to be working. If you are a national investment authority, you should be able to have regular meetings with your investors and showing them the next investment opportunities that are there so that they can invest. If you are Uganda Revenue Authority and there are walk-to-work protests, you have to say, sorry, we know we got business disruptions during this time. We are not going to charge taxes during this time. But if you insist on hammering businesses which were banned or disrupted or affected by political protests, you are discouraging actually investing. If you are Uganda Tourism Board, you should now be shouting, wait a minute, we have had a peaceful post-2026 election season. Our tourists, please come. And when they say, but we hear that some of your political leaders are in exile, you say, no, they are tourists. In other words, you should have some explanation to give to the tourists who are now finding it too expensive to go to Asia because of the war in Iran and its related fuel costs, and attract them to Uganda so that more and more of us can earn on that foreign exchange. Performance is the most and only important way of restoring trust in institutions.
As we wind this up, Dr. Rwengabo, your last call to action for the stakeholders involved in the conversation of post-election reconciliation, what would those be?
Pick your shovel and start working. That's the most important message I can give all the stakeholders. For the youth, focus on your own capacity building, socio-economic capacity building, intellectual capacity building, networks and collaborations, and ICT investments. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Rwengabo Rtash, who has joined us on topical discussion today. I hope you remember that you are a stakeholder in this nation-building process, particularly when it comes to post-election reconciliation. My name is Tracy Kansime. Thank you for being a part of topical discussion on NBS Morning Breeze. Till tomorrow, have a good morning.